Before you scroll past this, hear this clearly. If you have felt delayed, overlooked, pressured, stretched, or spiritually exhausted, this is not random. This is your confirmation. This year is not ordinary. It is a turning point, and what you are about to understand could shift how you see everything that has happened to you. Stop scrolling for a moment, because what you are about to hear is not coincidence. If you have felt restless, confused, delayed, misunderstood, or spiritually stretched beyond what feels fair, this message is for you. This year is not just another calendar flip. It is a spiritual turning point, and what God wants you to understand first is this. The pressure you felt was not punishment. It was preparation. You thought the silence meant abandonment, but heaven was not quiet. It was building something inside you that noise could not create. God allows certain seasons of isolation not to break you, but to strip away every identity that was never meant to carry you forward. This year, He wants you to understand that the discomfort you experienced was refining your spirit. Not everything that hurts is meant to harm you. Some things are meant to reveal you. There were doors that did not open, relationships that shifted, plans that collapsed, and you wondered, why now? But God sees beyond timing the way you measure it. What felt like delay was divine alignment. What felt like rejection was redirection. What felt like loss was protection. This year, you must understand that closed doors are often mercy in disguise. If something left your life, it could not go where you are going. You prayed for growth, but growth rarely feels comfortable. You asked for strength, but strength is built under resistance. You asked for clarity, but clarity comes after confrontation with truth. This year, God wants you to stop interpreting your challenges as attacks. Many of them were answers. You were not being buried, you were being planted. There is something else you must understand. Your value is not determined by how many people celebrate you. Some of the most anointed seasons of your life will look invisible to others. The approval you chased was never required for your assignment. This year, God wants you to anchor yourself in obedience, not applause, because applause fades, obedience builds. You have been long measuring yourself against timelines that were never assigned to you. Comparison has been draining your peace, but your journey is handcrafted, custom-built, specific. God is not late with you, He is intentional. This year is not about rushing, it is about alignment. When you move in alignment, acceleration comes naturally, but when you force timing, exhaustion follows. There are habits He wants you to release, not because He is restricting you, but because He is protecting your future capacity. Some behaviors that once comforted you will begin to feel heavy. That is not guilt, that is growth. This year, understanding will come through conviction, not condemnation. God corrects what He intends to elevate. And here is the deeper truth. The battles you fought quietly last year strengthened your spiritual discernment. You see differently now. You feel energy differently now. You no longer ignore red flags. That awareness is not paranoia, it is protection. This year, God wants you to trust the wisdom He already developed inside you. Close your eyes for a moment and think about the version of you that almost gave up, the nights no one saw, the prayers whispered in exhaustion, the tears you hid. You are still here. That is not small. That is not luck. That is grace. And grace means there is still purpose attached to your name. This year is not about becoming someone else. It is about fully stepping into who you are always meant to be. The fear you feel at the edge of change, that is the doorway. The uncertainty, that is the invitation. God is not asking you to have all the answers. He is asking you to trust the direction. And hold this in your spirit. Nothing you survived was wasted. Nothing you endured was meaningless. This year, what God wants you to understand above everything else is this. You are not behind. You are being positioned, and positioning always comes before elevation. There are people who walked out of your life that you still think about in quiet moments. conversations that never had closure, and friendships that slowly faded, bonds that felt unbreakable but somehow unraveled. And you ask God, why remove them now? Why let it end this way? What God wants you to understand this year is that not every separation is a loss. Some separations are assignments fulfilled. You were never meant to carry everyone into your next season. Some people were seasonal support, not lifelong covenant. But because your heart is loyal, you tried to turn temporary connections into permanent attachments. God sometimes removes what you refuse to release, not because he wants you lonely, but because he sees the weight those connections would place on your future. There are relationships that felt safe but were slowly limiting your growth. They were comfortable, but comfort can become confinement. This year, God wants you to understand that growth will often disrupt comfort. When you begin evolving spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, not everyone can adjust to the new version of you. And that does not make you wrong. It means you are rising. You may have felt rejected, but rejection is often protection from what cannot handle your calling. When people misunderstand you, distance themselves, or even misrepresent you, it hurts. But understand this, not everyone is meant to understand you. Some people were only meant to experience one chapter of your story. Their confusion does not cancel your purpose. God is also teaching you about discernment in connection. Not everyone who enters your life comes from a pure place. Some arrive curious, some arrive competitive, some arrive inspired, and some arrive to test your boundaries. This year, he wants you to stop ignoring the small discomfort in your spirit, that quiet hesitation you feel around certain people. That is wisdom developing. You have been overextending yourself in relationships that were never reciprocal, giving time, emotional energy, understanding, patience, while receiving confusion, inconsistency, and emotional drain. God wants you to understand that love does not require you to abandon yourself. Compassion does not require self-betrayal, and loyalty does not require self-sacrifice at the cost of your peace. There were delays in certain relationships because the timing was not right, not because you were not worthy. Sometimes God withholds what you desire because you are still becoming who you need to be to sustain it. Imagine receiving something beautiful before you were prepared to protect it. This year is about preparation before possession. And here is something deeper. Some prayers were not answered because the person you were asking for was not aligned with who you are becoming. You thought the door closing was heartbreak, but in heaven's perspective, it was rescue. God sees what you cannot. He sees the conversations that would have wounded you, the compromises that would have slowly dimmed you, the path that would have drained you. This year, you will begin to understand the difference between chemistry and alignment. Chemistry feels intense. Alignment feels peaceful. Chemistry pulls. Alignment flows. Chemistry excites. Alignment sustains. God is not interested in temporary sparks for you. He is interested in stable foundations. You may also notice that as you grow closer to God, your circle grows smaller. That is not punishment. It is purification. Depth replaces quantity. Meaning replaces noise. And peace replaces performance. You are no longer meant to entertain environments that drain your spirit. Forgiveness will also become important this year, not because others deserve access again, but because you deserve freedom. Holding resentment ties your energy to past versions of yourself. God wants you to release bitterness so that your future is not contaminated by yesterday's pain. Forgive, but do not forget the lesson. Divine timing is rarely convenient. It stretches you, it tests your patience, it challenges your trust. But when something is aligned by God, it arrives with clarity, not confusion. It brings peace, not anxiety. It builds, not breaks. If something left, let it. If something is delayed, trust it. If something is confusing, pause it. This year, relationships will not be about proving your worth. They will be about recognizing it. You are not being emptied. You are being refined. And in the refining, the right people will recognize you without you having to beg for recognition. There is a version of you that has been quietly forming, beneath the surface. And this year, God wants you to recognize it. Not the version shaped by expectations, not the version that learned to survive by shrinking, not the version that kept peace by staying silent, but the real you, the one that has been developing through pressure, through disappointment, through endurance. The pressure was not there to crush you. It was there to reveal who you truly are when everything comfortable is stripped away. You have mistaken pressure for punishment, but pressure reveals structure. When something collapses under pressure, it means it was never built to carry what is coming next. God allowed certain stresses to test your foundation, not to humiliate you, but to strengthen what remains. This year, you must understand that the discomfort you felt was revealing weak attachments, weak patterns, weak identities that could not sustain your next level. For years, you defined yourself by roles. Who you were to others, what you provided, how you were perceived. But God is shifting you from performance to purpose. Identity rooted in approval is fragile. Identity rooted in calling is stable. This year, you will feel less interested in impressing people and more interested in aligning with truth. That shift may feel lonely at first, but it is necessary. There are habits you once defended that now feel heavy. Conversations you once entertained that now drain you, reactions you once justified that now feel beneath you. That is not guilt. That is growth. God is upgrading your internal standard. And when your internal standard rises, your tolerance for chaos drops. You are not becoming cold, you are becoming clear. You have also underestimated the strength you built in private. The nights you chose discipline over distraction, the mornings you prayed when you felt nothing, the days you continued showing up even when you questioned your direction. That consistency was shaping you. Transformation is rarely loud, it happens in silence. And this year, the quiet work you did will begin to show in visible ways. You are not behind in life, you are being shaped at the pace required for your assignment. If you moved faster without inner maturity, you would sabotage what you prayed for. God values foundation over speed, depth over applause, character over charisma. This year is about strengthening the invisible parts of you. There will be moments where you feel misunderstood. As you change, people who only knew the old version of you may feel uncomfortable. They may say you've changed, and they are right, you have. Growth always looks strange to those committed to your old identity, but you cannot shrink to maintain familiarity. God is not calling you backward. He is calling you upward. Your sensitivity is not weakness. The depth with which you feel, observe, and discern is part of your spiritual wiring, but you must learn to manage it wisely. Sensitivity without boundaries becomes exhaustion. Sensitivity with wisdom becomes discernment. This year, God wants you to protect your emotional energy more intentionally. You may also notice that distractions that once satisfied you feel empty now. That is not boredom, that is evolution. When your spirit matures, surface-level stimulation loses its appeal. You are being called into depth. Depth in thought, depth in purpose, depth in faith. Fear will appear when you step forward. But fear does not mean you are unqualified. It means you are stepping into something larger than your comfort zone. God does not wait for you to feel ready. He grows you through the process of obedience. Stop apologizing for your boundaries. Stop apologizing for your growth. Stop apologizing for protecting your peace. The battles you fought internally, self-doubt, insecurity, questioning your worth, were stages of rebuilding. Every time you chose faith over fear, you strengthened your spiritual muscle. You are evolving on purpose. The pressure had intention. The silence had meaning. The isolation had strategy. You are becoming who you were always designed to be. This year, obedience will matter more than emotion. There will be days you feel inspired and days you feel empty. But obedience is built on trust. The small decisions you make daily will shape the outcomes you pray for yearly. Discipline is not restriction, it is protection of your future self. Hidden rewards are forming. peace that is not easily shaken, confidence that does not depend on validation, stability that is not fragile. Delayed gratification is a spiritual principle. What you resist today strengthens you tomorrow. What you sacrifice now creates space for something greater later. Distractions will increase when you get serious about discipline, but not everything available is aligned. Discernment will be your shield. You are not being asked to be perfect. You're being asked to be consistent. Falling is not failure. Staying down is. The rewards forming for you are proportional to your obedience. Faithfulness in small things prepares you for larger responsibility. Character precedes opportunity. Hidden discipline produces visible results. Obedience today creates freedom tomorrow. And now confront what you have been negotiating with. Fear, subtle hesitation, delayed action. You will never feel fully prepared for the level you are called to. Courage is movement despite fear. There is something inside you that you have been downplaying, a gift, a voice, a vision. Stop asking whether you are enough. God does not assign without equipping. Fear disguised as humility has limited you long enough. You have already survived what once terrified you. Fear predicted destruction. Reality proved resilience. Step forward even if your hands shake. Criticism is not confirmation of failure. Often it is confirmation of movement. The desire in your heart is often the sign. The restlessness you feel is direction. You were not created to live beneath your potential. Fear is not your enemy. Stagnation is. Fear signals growth at the edge of your comfort zone. And now, surrender. You have been carrying outcomes that were never yours to control. Surrender is not giving up effort, it is giving up anxiety. You will still work, you will still plan, but you will stop obsessing over what you cannot influence. What is meant for you cannot miss you, and what misses you was never meant to stay. You have been sustained before. That was covering, and the same covering exists this year. God rarely shows the full staircase, only the next step. You are learning to live with open hands instead of clenched fists. Some things will not unfold the way you planned, but they will unfold the way you need. Your stability will not come from circumstances, it will come from trust. You are guided, you are protected, you are positioned. You are not walking into uncertainty, you are walking into alignment. You are not starting from scratch. You are building from strength. You are not alone in your process. You are accompanied. Release the pressure, release the fear, release the obsession with timing. This year is not random. It is intentional.